Well, hello. Just gonna shrink me down a bit so that we can actually see the video. That's not the right one. It's this one. Okay. Make it where you can see it. Why is it like... Oh. Because it was shrunk. Okay. Alright. Good evening, everybody. I hope your guys' week has been good. Mine has been a week. Nothing great, but it's been. Alright, so this week a recent paper was published about, hold on, let me shrink this. Boom. Okay. 500,000-year-old pieces of wood discovered in Zambia have no known parallels in the world, archaeologists say. So here they are, modified wood tools from the excavation site in Zambia. Looks like there's a scale, but I'm not sure what that scale is. A group of scientists discovered the earliest evidence of wooden structures and published their findings in the Nature Journal on Wednesday. The scientists' finds consist of wooden structures and tools, such as digging sticks, found at the Kalambo Falls in Zambia. They date back to more than 476,000 years ago, which is a very long time. Very, very long time. Digging sticks. So, chimpanzees and other apes have been known to use sticks as tools for digging. And it is believed that likely some of the first tools that humans used before they started really actually flint knapping. These structures, which might have been built by early humans as raised platforms to stay above the wet ground, have, quote, no known parallels, the scientists wrote in the article. The discovery reshapes our understanding of what early humans were capable of, they added. That's because these findings show how early humans used large tree trunks to make structures and platforms, as well as their use of wooden tools. Okay, the author said, man, they really aren't giving much information yet. They used their intelligence, imagination, and skills to create something they'd never seen before, something that had never previously existed. Larry Barham, the lead researcher and a professor at the University of Liverpool, told the BBC on Wednesday. These structures even predate the earliest known Homo sapien fossils. A co-author of the study and a professor at the University of Aberystwyth. Where is that? Sorry, I've never heard of this university, so it's a unique name. I want to know where it's at. It's kind of a fun name. Zoom out a little bit. It's in the town of Aberystwyth in Wales. Oh, okay. It's kind of in the little, like, sea cove of Wales. Probably why it's a cool word. It's just fun to say. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Please, any Welshmen who know, tell me if I'm saying it wrong. We're uncertain which species, of course. The discovery of the wooden structures was first made in 2019. The scientists wrote in the article that they used luminescence dating, a technique that involves measuring the amount of radioactivity absorbed by rocks over millennia to determine the age of their findings. So something that people always talk about when they're not within the archaeological community is carbon dating, which is very useful, but it is limited in how far back you can go, and I think it's around like 40 years, and the farther back you go, the more difficult it is to read it, less reliable it becomes, which is why the cutoff is around 40,000 years. So using other means of dating, such as the luminescence dating, allows you to go much farther back. It's just a completely different way of doing it. And there's other isotopes that you can measure as well, other than carbon-14. Wet conditions at the Colombo Falls contributed to the rare find, as wooden materials typically fail to stand the test of time unless preserved in unusual conditions, like being waterlogged. Archaeologists' discoveries, such as the wooden structures, help shape our understanding of human history. Wow, this really did not tell us, talking about earliest amputation, this didn't tell us anything. Anything at all. Do we have, let's see what this says. Evidence of the earliest structure use of wood. Wood artifacts rarely survive from the early Stone Age since they require exceptional conditions for preservation. Consequently, we have limited information about when and how hominins used this basic raw material. We report here on the earliest evidence of the structural use of wood in the archaeological record. Waterlogged deposits at the archaeological site of Colombo Falls, Zambia. You know what? Let's just do this real quick. Just kind of... Oh, come on. Give you an idea. What? I can guarantee you it's not in the middle of the ocean. Zambia. What are you doing, Google? There we go. I don't know why, but it had it out in the middle of the ocean. Alright. So we have Zambia. It's right here. Nice little center. And a lot of stuff happened kind of in this area, this line for hominins, really. A lot down in Johannesburg, up in these lovely lakes. Just really good location for hominins. I don't know why, but when I first looked Zambia up in Google Maps, it had the point out here. Whatever. Anyways, that's Zambia. Kind of an odd-shaped country. But you know, borders are crazy. Dated by luminescence to at least 476 plus or minus 23,000 years ago. Preserved 2 interlocking logs joined transversely by an intentional cut notch. This construction has no known parallels in the African or Eurasian Paleolithic. The earliest known wood artifact is a fragment of polished plank from the Acheulean site of Gesher Benot Yaakov in Israel, more than 780,000 years ago. Wooden tools for foraging and hunting appear 400,000 in Europe, China, and possibly France. At Colombo, we also recovered 4 wood tools from 390 to 324,000 years ago, including a wedge, digging stick, cut log, and notched branch. The finds show an unexpected early diversity of forms and capacity to shape tree trunks into large combined structures. These new data not only extend the age range of woodworking in Africa, but expand our understanding of the technical conditions of early hominins, forcing an examination of the use of trees in the history of technology. Okay, it's telling us where the falls are. Talking about soils, where the samples were taken, and where the wood was found. 3 different places in meters. So a few meters, okay. So A is the BLB5 structural element. B is the wedge. C is the digging stick. It looks like a good stick digging thing. D is the cut log. And then E is the tapered piece with single chop mark. Scale bars, oh, there we go. Scale bars are 10 centimeters. See, the other article, so I got this. This is just your average little news article. It tells you nothing. It gives you like no information. This is horrible. This article, Insider, be sad. You wrote a bad article. Da, 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 da. Okay, so this is how they were. Structural unit formed by two overlapping logs. And they believe it was notched like this. Oh, cracks. Passes through a central notch cut into the upper log and extends into the section. Plan view of the unit, and during excavation, the numbers refer to the distance in centimeters. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so some 3D rendering kind of helps show it a bit better. Annotated images of the BLB5 upper log showing areas of intentional modification. There's the notch. What are these numbers? From left to right, the location of the central notch in profile, shaping marks in and on the margins of the notch. Notch in profile from the opposite side. The image on the right shows the upper surface of the log and the three parts of the log, separated by cracks. White arrows indicate locations of shaping facets on the sides and upper surface of the log. Okay. I'm not going to read this whole thing. If you are interested, I do share all of the articles I go through on my Discord, which, you know what, I can link that in the chat because people have said that it's like doesn't actually work all the time. Can I do it? Oh, there we go. Invite people. Yeah. Copy. Copy. Let's see. Paste. Yeah. There. Join the Discord. I share all my articles there. So if you ever want to go through them. I did put a link in the description of the video, but I guess it doesn't really work. I should take it out of the description. The BLB wood was air freighted from Zambia to the University of Liverpool for analysis. Specialist advice was followed and the samples kept submerged in cold tap water in the dark with trace chlorine providing protection from the fungal contamination. The water was changed regularly and samples monitored for fungal growth. None was found. Definition of the surface shaping marks on pieces from BLB3 and BLB5 degraded during storage. Ooh. But no changes were seen on wood from BLB2 and BLB4. Well, that sucks. The wood from the latter two contacts was recovered from clay and silt deposits with a high organic content, whereas the older contacts of BLB3 and BLB5 are primarily sands, which is probably why they just weren't preserved the same. The lower piece from BLB4 was found cracked in situ. Object 1033 BLB5 had 2 cracks. I'm sure all these numbers are so interesting, right? It's just trying to keep, it's naming different artifacts so that we can refer to them easily. Samples are being conserved at York Archaeologists Trust UK before being returned to Zambia for curation. Radiocarbon dating and species identification samples were collected using a chroma Gesellschaft. Okay. Sample depth range. That's cool. This is just how they did things. All wood was photographically modeled while submerged to minimize damage from drying. RT1 was used to produce two-dimensional models, images of complete specimens, which we saw. Pilot study was undertaken to assess the effects of flowing water and water saturation on preservation of modified wood surfaces. The preservation of shaping marks on wood or site BLB contrasts with the reported absence of surface marks on wood recovered 60 meters downstream at Site B in similar late Acheulean deposits. Site B is on the actively eroding outer band of the Columbia. Keep saying Columbia River, then Colombo River. Sorry about that. Whereas BLB lies on the straight stretch of the main channel. Okay, doing several experiments. Cool, they did a lot. Participated in the research undertaken 26 to 28 July 2022 by Moto Museum and University of Liverpool staff were supported. Okay, cool. They did a lot of testing. Let's go back. Go away. You're taking up half the screen. Let's go back up to these images. They didn't really... I mean, I scrolled through a lot, but I didn't really see them talking about where the... Other than the notch. Right there. I guess right here. Nice cut mark right there, and right here. And all of that right there, obviously. A couple here. Cool. You know, some hominin in the past was doing their thing, and then we're digging it up and being like, look, they did things. And they're like, well, no shit, we did things. What do you think we did? Sat around and scratched our butts? No. Alright, moving on. Insider again. Hopefully this article is a bit more informative. We will see. Archaeologists have discovered full-color portraits of Egyptian mummies in ancient Philadelphia. And yes, this article is a little bit old, from 2022. But that's okay. We share archaeology. Time does not matter. Egyptian archaeologists have uncovered full-color portraits of mummies, the first to be found in over a century. The Egyptian government has announced. What's this? I can't read Egyptian, so we won't be reading that. Researchers found the... Oh man, I wish I could. I wish I could read whatever language I wanted. I wish I was the type of person that could pick up languages like it was no tomorrow, but I am not. I studied French and Spanish my entire life, and I am fluent in neither. And it saddens me, because it would be so much better if I was. Sorry about that. Let's move on. Researchers found the two full portraits of Egyptian mummies and fragments of others at the Gerza excavation site in Fayoum, Egypt, making these artworks the first of their kind to be discovered in over 115 years. English archaeologist Flinders Petrie was the last to find similar artwork when he discovered 146 mummy portraits at a Roman cemetery in 1911. The findings are... Ooh, is this like the old... No. I was thinking maybe it was like the old news report from this 1911, but no, it was just the same report. If you've ever like gone through these type of news articles, they will actually kind of do an entire circle of citing each other, which is weird, but I have read through an article and be like, oh, I'm gonna follow this, oh, I'm gonna follow that, and it like end up just doing an entire circle where they're just referencing each other and not the actual like original thing. It's weird. Anyways, the findings are from a dig site located amid the ruins of the ancient city of Philadelphia, which, according to the Austrian Archaeological Institute, lies in the northeastern corner of Fayoum, approximately 75 miles southwest of modern-day Cairo. The team investigating the Gurza archaeological site in Fayoum also uncovered a funerary building, records written on papyrus, pottery, and coffins dating from the Ptolemaic period, which spans from 305 BC to 30 BC, through the Roman era, which lasted from 30 BC to 390 AD. It's a weird way. That was a really long way to say it went from 305 BC to 390 AD. The government has said these finds give fascinating insights into the social, economic, and religious conditions of the people living in Philadelphia, which meant an ancient Greek city of brotherly love nearly 2,000 years ago. The collection of paintings known as the Fayoum portraits portrays some of the wealthiest people that existed in these ancient communities. The Philadelphia settlement was home to Greeks and Egyptians over the 600-year period. Bassem Gehad, the head of the ancient Philadelphia excavation project, which led the latest dig, wrote in an email to ArtNet News that no one really knows the context of these portraits, but added, "Now we can know certainly where they came from and find more." Oh, look at that. Pretty decoration and everything. In addition to these finds, archaeologists also revealed a rare terracotta statue of the goddess Isis Aphrodite inside a wooden coffin, per ArtNet. Ooh. Do you have an image of that? Oh, I'm just gonna randomly spurt that out. Okay. Gehad told the news outlet the statue, quote, reflects the influence of Greeks on Egyptian art as a result of the new community living there. A statement from the Egyptian government explains that Pharaoh Ptolemy II Philadelphus, who lived from 309 to 246 BC, established Philadelphia as an agricultural village meant to secure further food resources for his empire. Okay. So yeah, we found a couple portraits. Girl's got some eyebrows, doesn't she? Woo, long. As someone who doesn't really have much eyebrows, kind of jealous. Moving on, another insider article. Psychedelic beer served at intimate dinner parties helped an ancient empire in the Andes rule for centuries, study finds. Another old one, but that's okay. I don't care. It was psychedelic beer. Beer laced with hallucinogenic drugs may have helped the rulers of an ancient pre-Incan empire in South America maintain power for about 400 years, according to new archaeological research. The Wari Empire, which spanned across the highlands of modern-day Peru between 600 AD and 1000 AD, likely prospered thanks to the political allegiances forged while consuming the hallucinogenic beverage, the study to the Antiquity Journal indicates. The potent mixture, a beer-like drink made from the drupes of mole trees and combined with psychotropic seeds, was likely a staple of intimate feasts that helped foster social relationships and reinforced elite positions in the Wari Empire. Feasts for millennia were used to cement political control in the Andes, said Associate Professor of Anthropology at the University of Toronto, Justin Jennings, who is an author of the study in an email to Insider. The Wari innovation was to make a special kind of beer that could be linked to Wari statecraft, he added. What? What? Okay. What happened? Where that threw me off later among the Inca, but instead a statecraft right small in the form. That threw me off. One that depended on the massive festivals that would be recorded later among the Inca, but instead on statecraft right small in the form of something that was akin to a long, boozy, and likely quite a delightful dinner party. An international team of archaeologists from Peru, Canada, and the US came to this conclusion after excavating a site at Quilcapampa in southern Peru, where they discovered 16 vilca seeds. Cool. The study's authors said the seeds, which usually would have been ground into powder and added to beer, appear to have been lost while brewing the unique drink. Vilca seeds were still rarely used as a hallucinogenic in ancient South America per National Geographic and promote an intense out-of-body experience similar to the ayahuasca drug. It is a powerful drug when inhaled that's used quickly leads to blackout, vomiting, and visions. Ugh, sounds so pleasant. One of the study's author, Justin Jennings, in an email to Insider, it's not a social drug. Well, yeah, nobody wants to be around each other if they're vomiting and blacking out. But when Vilca seeds are combined with mole beer, as the Worry people are believed to have done, Jennings said the drug's impacts is weakened and prolonged. You know where you are and who you are with, but you also know you are not quite in the same place as when the event began. Okay, so is it because adding it to the beer is lowering the dosage, or is the chemical reaction with the beer changing it a little bit? Sounds like they just use the beer to dilute it, but I'm not sure. Infusing beer made from the berries with vilca seeds made for a smoother, more enduring high that could be enjoyed collectively. It created a politically useful sense of communitas, according to this study. These drug-laced beers also allowed Wari leaders to maintain their heightened status by offering a memorable communal and, most importantly, unique hallucinatory feast. The highly prized vilca seeds were likely an import from the southern coast. A question that remains is why the Wari formula was not replicated by the Incan Empire. The beverage was still drunk on rare occasions in the Andes after, but was replaced by the mass production of maize beer. He said, the Inca built off of other Wari innovations, but chose a different path in regards to feasting, beer, and drugs. Why? I don't know, maybe they said that drug was for low-class people, or maybe they just liked the feeling of the other one, or maybe it was price. Maybe maize beer was cheaper. A lot of reasons. It would be interesting if it was some type of social stigma on that type of hallucinogen rather than their hallucinogen, which totally could be. I mean, people do things like that. Hallucinogens, alcohol, and shifting leadership strategies. Oh, this is the actual Antiquity article. Yeah, I will link that. What's this? Another Insider article. Woo, we going all out with the Insider articles, guys. A 31,000-year-old Stone Age skeleton reveals the world's oldest limb amputation. If I can get my mouth to work properly. There we go. So we see this. Obviously, it's going to be this leg, the left leg, lower limb. The world's earliest limb amputation, dating back 31,000 years, has been discovered in Borneo. In a study published in the journal Nature, a group of archaeologists and paleopathologists from Australia and Indonesia detailed their findings of the Stone Age skeletal remains of a young person found in East Kalimantan, Indonesia, missing their tibia and fibula, the bones between the knee and ankle. The precision with which the bones were cut off means they were surgically amputated. Studies on the skeleton buried in a cave found that, after the surgery, they went on to live for 6 to 9 years. While the researchers couldn't determine the sex of the skeleton, they know that the surgery was during childhood, approximately between the ages of 10 and 14. Ooh, Wow. The researchers explained that the findings show that foraging groups in tropical Asia had developed sophisticated medical knowledge, including surgery and aftercare, many thousands of years before was initially thought. Previously, the earliest recorded amputation was carried out 7,000 years ago on a Neolithic farmer from France. The authors wrote the surrounding tissue, including veins, vessels, and nerves, were exposed and negotiated and yeah, in such a way that allowed the individual to not only survive but also continue living with altered mobility. They explain that intensive post-operative care of the patient, including temperature regulation, bathing, wound care, and disinfection, would have been vital for the patient, especially out in Indonesia. It's humid and lots of insects. Ooh, it's a miracle this kid lived. It was a huge surprise that this, honestly, the fact that they were a preteen probably greatly helped. They would have healed a lot quicker than if it was an adult. And their immune system is much more uh, solidified and strong than a young child would be. So it, the timing of it, of their age, was probably ideal. It was a huge surprise that this ancient forager survived a severe and life threatening childhood operation, that the wound healed to form a stump, and that they then lived for years in mountainous terrain with altered mobility, suggesting a high degree of community care. Co-author Dr. India Ella Dilks-Hall from the University of Western Australia highlighted how the ancient people tapped into the rainforest's natural pharmacy of medicinal plants to heal the sick and combat rapid infection rates in the hot and humid tropics. There was an early flourishing in applying botanical resources for anesthetic, antiseptics, and other wound healing treatments, said Dr. Dilks-Hall. The study changed our perception of the past, believes Dr. Dilks-Hall. Archaeologists have previously described Southeast Asia as a cultural backwater, and that there has always been this trope that not a lot happened there. These findings now change that. I think so. That is kind of true. I think there's just not a lot of archaeological studies in the past out in this region of the world. That, coupled with the environment, makes it very difficult for preservation. And then, there's the whole political thing. If there's stuff going on politically, socially, you're not going to be digging up the past. There's a lot that goes into it, and because of that, perceptions of like the one that the doctor was talking about come about. But because we haven't found much, doesn't mean that there wasn't something going on there. We just gotta find it, and that takes time and resources and luck, because we're not sending archaeologists all around the world digging random holes everywhere. Like this, you gotta have a reason to dig there, and you gotta find. It takes time. So, moving on. Okay, that's the science article. Do other animals dream? That's not really an archaeology one. Cookies. You want my cookies. Oh, I did this one last week. I don't need that one. Shoulders and elbows first evolved as brakes for climbing apes. Researchers report that the flexible shoulders and elbows that allow us to throw a football or reach a high shelf may have evolved as a natural braking system that let our primate ancestors get out of trees without dying. The researchers used sports analysis software to compare the climbing movements of chimpanzees and small monkeys called mangabes. While the animals climb up trees similarly, the researchers found that the shallow, round shoulder joints and shortened elbow bones that chimps have, similar to humans, allow them, well, not similar to humans. When comparing mangabeys, chimps, and humans, they are more similar to humans, but they are not similar to humans. Allow them to fully extend their arms above their heads when climbing down, holding onto branches like a person going down a ladder to support their greater weight. When early humans left forests for the grassy savanna, these versatile appendages would have been essential for gathering food and using tools for hunting and defense. The findings are among the first to identify the significance of down climbing in the evolution of apes and early humans. Okay, interesting. One more, and then I'm gonna call it an evening, guys. Archaeologists are using modern tools to learn about visitors to an ancient Egyptian temple. Beginning with its construction in the 4th century BC and continuing for more than 800 years, the Temple of Isis on the small island of Philae, set where the Nile flowed out of Nubia, was visited by a stream of pilgrims coming from all parts of the Egyptian Empire and even as far away as Cyprus and Rome. They passed between 60-foot towers to attend elaborate seasonal ceremonies that celebrated Isis' miraculous resurrection of her husband, the god Osiris, and the birth of their son, Horus. They beseeched Isis, the queen of the Egyptian pantheon, for aid and thanked her for interceding in their affairs. Before heading home, many also etched their marks, a carving of their footprints on sacred ground, a picture of the deity, a name, a date, or perhaps a short prayer. Very similar to what people do today. I mean, people are, saying, I was here all the time. Some testify to the difficulty of their journey. Isis, you are the mistress of the road, wrote a 3rd century AD Nubian envoy named Sasan beside a crude self-portrait. Our hearts are entrusted to you upon the way. Others were likely carved on pilgrims' behalf by the priests who worked at the temple. His name endures forever. Nesmeti, the banker of Isis. As for the one who will erase these writings, his name will be erased forever. Damn. Oh, look at that. It looks like a boat. Ancient pilgrim visited Philae and etched this boat on the wall of one of the temples. Yep, it is a boat. When European explorers began visiting Philae in the 19th century, more than a millennium after the cult of Isis slipped into history, they labeled these informal inscriptions graffiti, from the Italian for scratches. To these visitors, the phenomenon was a curiosity at best, and at worst, vandalism. Contemporary graffiti, like the messages recently carved by tourists on the wall of Rome's Colosseum. Oh, yeah, did you guys hear about that? Guy was freaking carving into the Colosseum. He's been charged, and he begged for mercy, basically. Why would you do that? Come on, you know those are protected. For generations, most archaeologists were principally interested in the temple's epic architecture and the official ornamentation on its walls, which include intricate reliefs of gods and goddesses carved by skilled artisans. So, personally, I think it can be considered vandalism and graffiti if it's not wanted. But if it's something that is generally accepted by the community and a place that people put their name or carve something into, I don't consider that graffiti. It's kind of a really cool phenomenon when people do that. It's people put their names, they put lovers' names, they put drawings when they were there, dates. People will do there's a bridge with locks where people put the lovers' names on. That's a cool one. Kind of a grosser one. I know out in Oregon they have a wall of gum. It's literally I've seen it. It's a wall of gum more people have chewed and they've added to the wall, and you're expected to. Now, one day that's going to be an uh, archaeological discovery, and someone's going to be thinking, I hit the jackpot of human DNA. Kind of gross. I did go see it. I did not add any gum because that is gross, but this city and the people around the businesses, I guess they endorse it, so yeah. Over the last 2 decades, the etchings of the worshippers of Philae and other sites across the ancient world have gradually become the focus of serious inquiry, part of a broader turn away from the monarchs and monuments that long dominated our study of the past and limited our historical perception. Well, it's also partly been there, done that. People are looking more at women, the enslaved people who have been left out of the historical record, and graffiti are really one of the best ways to get at these voices. A classicist at the University of Mississippi whose research centers on graffiti in the doomed Roman cities of Herculaneum and Pompeii. The tools of ancient graffiti artists were simple: a knife, a chisel, perhaps a stick of charcoal. But these researchers have the advantage of breakthrough technology that is helping them recover, preserve, and publicize these etchings, from sophisticated image capture to massive online databases and even artificial intelligence. The Ancient Graffiti Project was digitized thousands of Roman graffiti since its founding at Washington and Lee University in Virginia in 2014. In Italy, researchers are documenting graffiti in medieval churches using a technique called photogrammetry. Last year, an international team of researchers debuted Ithaca, a deep neural network, a form of artificial intelligence designed to read damaged or incomplete Greek inscriptions. And in one of the most ambitious projects to date, a Canadian team has been working since 2016 to create a 3D model of the Temple of Isis that will allow researchers to explore in intimate detail the devotions of people like Sasan and Nesmeti, who lived and died millennia ago. Yeah, using computers and like AI and everything, that's gonna, the human eye can only see so many things, and the technology is going to allow us to find things that we wouldn't have seen otherwise. It'll also speed things up. It'll help make analysis of large swaths of data a lot quicker. It'll be really cool. It's gotta be refined a bit more, obviously, but yeah, some cool stuff. Yeah. Okay, I'm done with that. Graffiti, cool. Your average person can do it. And I'm actually gonna call it for the evening. I hope you guys enjoyed the subjects that I covered. I will try to be back next Thursday. I am going into the field, so I don't know how well that's gonna work. We will see. I don't have a laptop. That's the problem. I do everything with a desktop. But I did find that the program I use has a phone app, so maybe I can do it that way, but then you're gonna see it like through the phone shape of the screen. I don't know. We'll see. I might do it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And you probably won't see me next week. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. I put the link in the comments. And have a great evening, everybody.